Well, we're going to start right here on this particular stage right now because we have someone extraordinary to bring to you. So those who's staying here for Dr. Shefali. Awesome. Oh, get ready. So we're going to announce about Dr. Shefali right now. She is a clinical psychologist and New York Times best-selling author of books on conscious parenting. Oprah has called her work revolutionary and espoused her books as being the most profound books on parenting that she has read. And Dr. Shefali is an international speaker spreading the message of healing and consciousness around the world. So all those here for Dr. Shefali, please give her a beautiful California Women's Conference welcome.
I know you're transitioning, so I'll give you a few moments. Hi, everyone. Okay. Let me just, I think do you want to put on the timer? Okay. I'm Dr. Shefali. I'm a clinical psychologist and an author, and my work focuses on the integration of Eastern philosophy and mindfulness in the realm of growth, expansion, and transformation. As a clinical psychologist, you know, if you've ever been to a therapist, you spend hours and hours on the couch. So I'm the one who's encountering hours and hours of people's lives. And I'm humbled and I'm privileged to be allowed a little landscape into what people go through. I've been doing it now for 2 decades. And inevitably, I'm always surprised at how simple our greatest desires really are. The checklists that our parents give us, that you may want achievement and success and marriage and fancy cars and a great zip code and a great social circle, actually is not what our greatest desire is. But we go through the checklist imagining that it is. And we do it assiduously, and we do it obediently with full-on compliance, believing our parents that at the end of this very long list will be the utopic happiness and success that they have told us we will arrive at. And then all of us know when we get to our mid-30s and we look around and we're like, the happiness isn't here yet. And that feeling of overwhelming success and fulfillment and serenity isn't here yet. But then we try a little harder. And then if we don't try so hard, it's okay. We have our children. They can try for us. They can fulfill the checklist. And that's what we do. We make them the PhD that we never got. And we make them the ice skaters that we didn't dare become. And the cycle of insanity continues. And then we promise them all that we were promised, because ashamedly we imagine that perhaps we just weren't good enough. And we didn't try hard enough. But success and happiness is out there. So this is the seduction, you see. This is the grand old wives' tale or husband's tale, why blame the wives, that we have been sold on and we ingested. I call it the Kool-Aid. We've all drunk it, and we pass this on to our children, hoping, waiting, fantasizing, craving, desiring. And then if we're very, very, very blessed, you may not look at this as a blessing, but then life throws us one curveball after the other. And why do I say this is a blessing? Because I see with my clients on the couch that it takes great pain for the seduction to end. And yes, it may come through a death, and it may come through a terminal illness, and may come through the end of a marriage, which is really the beginning of something else. It may come through something conventional, shattering, for us to say, maybe I've been living a complete lie. Because really we have. Because culture has told us and sold us a bag of goods. It's told us that everything we need to be lies outside of us. And even you here today, as wise as you are, came here looking for something, looking for meaning, serenity, a purpose, inspiration. We are in the inspiration arena. You came looking for it. And I'm here to tell you that you will never find it here, because it's already lying, waiting, breathing, dying for resurrection within you. What you need to come looking for in the inspiration stage or places like this is how to unlearn, how to undo, how to forget all the lies you've been told, that you need to become something, that you need to look a certain way, that you need to achieve something in order to be worthy, to be lovable, to be approved, to be understood, to feel like you belong. Those were the lies that you need to undo. So you've come here not to learn or write more notes, but to really shed your skin, to slough off all that others who lived in fear before you told you to live by. Those are the standards you need to get rid of. Otherwise, you'll never find it. Client after client after client come looking for things, but the thing they're looking for lies within them, just buried deep, deep. And so here I am to challenge you to really think deeply, intuitively, ask yourself, how true am I being to my most authentic self? Do you dare to realize that this one life, in this form at least, right? There may be many others in other forms, we don't know, but for this life, this is all you have. And if this life, in this form, in this physical self, with the hair you have and the face you have and whatever you believe is lesser than, well, that's what you have. So when are you going to start accepting that and living in the isness of that and the full surrender of that? No more searching for things to add on to you, but really only to let go of. And the more you let go of all those false layers of self that you and I know when we're false. You and I know how many relationships we are currently in that are fully inauthentic. But we live because of conformity, because of culture, because of not wanting to disappoint the person we're with or the partners we could have or the parents who told us to get into those relationships in the first place. And we teach our children to lie to themselves as well. We teach them fit in. Fit into what? Into this madness that is mainstream? No, we have to do it a different way if you want to live a conscious life. So as a therapist, you know, I too fell for the seduction, thinking, oh, when you get married, you know, I used to give dumb advice like that in my 20s and get paid for it. You know, when you get married or when you finish your degree or why don't you find your purpose? I used to think this was the way, the prescription. This is what I was taught in grad school. But then when I saw that even after checklist after checklist, there is no happiness to be found, then I realized, oh, there's another ingredient, which I came to only through my own self-work and transformation. And that ingredient is only your inner consciousness, the consciousness you have to live your truth, your authentic self. Consciousness, you see, what is consciousness, people ask me. And I have a long-winded, but I won't bore you with it. But consciousness really is the ability to understand that in this life form, you are here to unfold into your truth and to slough off and shed off all the lies you have been packed in, with and in, and embedded under, and surrendering to without realizing that those were the lies you needed to forget. So I call it the big forgetting. So consciousness is to understand that yes, when we are born closest to source, right? To that thing, that miraculous energy, I don't know what you call it, divine, divinity, potential, highest energy, highest power source, whatever you want to call it, I just call it source. When we arrive in this world, we're actually closest to source. But then we don't realize fully how divorced from that divinity the rest of the world we're about to enter into is. We trust our parents, right? We're besotted with them. We give them absolute power. We say, here, take me, shed me from whatever falsehoods I may grow into and teach me how to shine with my light. But we don't realize that we're talking to parents who are so surrendered in the lie, who they themselves have so forgotten their true power. So here it is, we who actually came from source, full of luminescent energy and power and divinity and freedom and liberation. No boxes, right? When we come, we don't come with boxes and categories and checklists and to-dos and the doing of the being. We're ready to be the being. We believe we are worthy. You were once worthy. You felt fully valid. But then you came into parents who forgot. And so then they took you on the conveyor belt of life, and there now here you are. So when is this going to end? One of my youngest clients was a 17-month-old baby. The mother brought her to me in therapy with pamphlets that said autism spectrum disorder, the acronyms ASD, and then RDD, reactive defiant disorder, and PDD, pervasive developmental disorder. I said, the child is not even 2 yet. But the mother was convinced because this child refused to attach to her. Doctor, she doesn't make eye contact with me. She doesn't feed well with me. She doesn't soothe with me. But with the caretaker and with the nanny and with my husband and with the mother-in-law, all of them, yes, but not with me. Not once did she dare to ask, is there something going on with me? No, she couldn't, because we parents, we can't, right? We've been told by culture, it's not us, it's the child that needs to be fixed. That's why we take the children for therapy, we medicate them. But she didn't realize what kind of therapist I was. So I asked her to let me come to her home so I could observe them, and I did. And she was right. This child did make eye contact with me, full locked on. And she did eat with me, and she giggled with me, and she was utterly responsive. But then when the mother came, she turned deadpan. And I was like, okay, now this child is brilliant. Of course, children are brilliant. How they intuitively know something that we are not willing to reveal. So I took the mother on the side. I said, you and I got to talk. You got to come clean. Like there is something emanating from your energy that this child is picking up on that I need to know about. And sure enough, within a few minutes, the mother confessed that she had been deeply mired in depression for the first few months of this child's life, and then fell into an addictive state of alcoholism and came from abuse. It's predictable. We humans are predictable. Pain doesn't just come from nothing. Pain comes from great pain. And she was the victim of it. But she was not enlightened to understand how she was affecting her child already. And look at the wisdom of children, so intuitive and absorbent. This child already figured out, this is not a reliant caregiver. I can't even make eye contact with her. I don't want to have anything to do with her. And then, of course, when our teenagers show the same shutting down, we say, what happened? You were such an angel. Well, our teenagers finally realized by 12 and 13 that, no, I cannot absorb your unconsciousness anymore. I must return to light in some haphazard way, but I'll do it my way because you are unreliant. And so with this mother, when she began her healing and going within and deeper within and began remembering all that she had been told to forget by her unconscious parents who lived in fear, scarcity, and lack, then slowly she began to blossom. Slowly. Change takes a lot of time. That's why no one wants to change. We just want the evolution at the end of it. Because change is a trial by fire. I stand here telling you to let go. You think, oh, I can let go. Try letting go. Try letting go one belief system that you have lived with. Even if it is suffocating you, you cannot let it go. Because it is your second skin, so much so you don't even know you are conditioned. This conditioning you see from childhood is steeped in lack, unworthiness, invalidation, because it is unconscious. And the only way that we're going to heal the planet is what I taught this woman to do, is to become conscious. Conscious of her true self, of her authentic spirit, that she is from source. She just digressed. She just took the route that took her downhill. And she just needs to go back now. And this is what we all have to do. We have to look at the legacy our parents left us and ask, is this legacy serving my most authentic self? Or is it actually straying me further in layers of falsehood? And then you need to dare. You need to look in the mirror and see every relationship that you are currently in, right? This moment is the only moment that matters. Don't go back and then live in guilt and shame and, no, I wasn't present for my children. You weren't. Start now. Look in the mirror that every relationship affords you now and say, how does this relationship mirror how I yet need to grow? Is it fully reflective of my most divine, courageous, daring, liberated self? Or am I lying here? And then, of course, you have to dare even more, because the next steps become even harder. That's why ignorance is bliss. And the next steps are what? Oh, then you have to change. Change what, Dr. Shefali? You have to physically, behaviorally, actually, no, really, now, change. So if somebody is ill-treating you, oh, you have to, yes, create a boundary. And then if you've been living in fear and dread, like Sarah, my 51-year-old high-powered attorney, who's so externally motivated and ambitious and driven, and when you see her, she's picture perfect. But I know in the therapist's office what she reveals: her panic to get ready every day for work, her inability to speak up at meetings, and for her to take course after course, because her deepest desire is, again, to be seen for her most authentic self. And she knows that these layers she's created, 51 years of them, is all a lie, to escape from the truth that who she is never felt good enough. And at our core, this is it. You and I, me standing on stage, or you sitting there, you bought the ticket, it doesn't matter, we're the same. Because the equal denominator that really humbles us all to the same place, besides having children, is the fact that we are all little children longing for our most authentic self to be seen. But granted, our parents didn't give it to us. Granted, no more lamenting the fact. They didn't. They couldn't. They were unconscious. 1% of humanity right now is conscious. So we move on and we say, well, then now it's my task. With the remaining time I have left in this form, I will not spend another minute in lie. I will wake up to my truth. I will dare to liberate from belief systems that impose me into subjugation and subservience. I will dare. I will dare to change. It may take time. I am scared, because the territory that occurs right after the realization that you need to change, that vast, I call it no man's land, it's huge, it's icy, the terrain. You don't want to be there, because all your friends not coming with you. Your parents are going to admonish and scorn you, and you'll be ostracized and outcasted, and then you'll walk this icy terrain on your own, and no one wants to do that. That's why no one changes, or because of this isolated piece in between old and new. You just want to catapult into new, but it doesn't work like that. You will be tried by fire. But then on the other end, yonder lies your freedom. Thank you. Thank you.
Dr. Shefali,